I realize this is kind of like a just like a matter of taste. I mean, you may watch Arrow and not mind that there's a huge Batman influence because you're just indifferent about it or you're a fan of Batman, it doesn't bother you. But this is a legitimate criticism. It's not like I'm the only one complaining about this. Getting back to the Daredevil analogy, the crappy Daredevil analogy, what the problem with this is it's like if you did a season of the Daredevil TV show and you wrote Daredevil as though he was Spider-Man, did the death of Gwen Stacy storyline, and the big villain of the season was Green Goblin. Though knowing the producers of this show, they just call him the Goblin without because God forbid we put adjectives in front of the names of these characters. So that's the problem. When that would seem weird, right? It would, instead of doing the Hand or Kingpin or Bullseye or something like that, instead let's do this big Spider-Man villain with the Spider-Man storyline while we're writing Matt Murdock as though he's Peter Parker. Obviously, that's wrong. So it's literally it's the same fucking thing. And so to think that just the problem is Ra's al Ghul and you need to get over it is stupid. It's just it's just pure ignorance. It's just totally dismissive in not even bothering to try to understand what the problem is with the whole thing. And it's yeah, I get it. It's a matter of taste. It's like the Flash stuff too. Like to me, that ruins the show. You may not have a problem with it. You may not mind that Arrow's in the same universe as fucking magic powered superheroes and shit. To me, that ruins the original conceit of the show, the original promise of the show, of a grounded sort of superhero origin show done as a TV show. So, and this kind of ties into my whole thing about Batman, in that I never really gave a crap about Batman. I just thought he was very vanilla, bland superhero. Did not care for him whatsoever. And it wasn't until the Nolan Batman movies that I actually started to be able to call myself a Batman fan on at least some level. I saw Batman Begins. I went ahead, I was going to see it, and having very low expectations because, what the fuck, it's just Batman, right? And that movie far exceeded my expectations. I thought it was fucking awesome. Um, Saw Dark Knight, awesome. Dark Knight Rises, initially thought it was very awesome, then over time realized it wasn't very good at all. But it was good, but it was just whatever. And now since then, I haven't went back, kind of regressed on my attitude with Batman, where I just don't care, and he's just very vanilla and bland. While everyone else seems to think he's like he's the pinnacle of awesomeness. I just don't see it. I don't see it. So, Arrow is heavily influenced by the Nolan Batman trilogy, and it's basically the same concept as those movies where, or really specifically, kind of Batman Begins, where it's an origin story of a superhero in a very kind of more grounded universe, but just done as a TV show. And that really appealed to me. I really liked Arrow for being that. And I guess it's kind of like Batman in that I guess it didn't matter it was about Green Arrow because I was probably more of a fan of the concept than the character. Kind of like the Nolan Batman movies. Because now I've just gone back to not caring about Batman. It's probably because of those movies it was more the concept I liked than the character. So same thing with this show, Arrow here, where you can probably just inserted a completely different character or just made up a new character And I still would have liked it just because of the concept of the whole origin thing and how they're taking DC, like other characters in DC universe, heroes or villains or whatever, and kind of give like this more grounded sort of spin on them in this more grounded universe. And I like the aspect of like the team building, like where like Oliver, it starts out as just him alone, and then after a few episodes he brings Diggle on board, and then by the end of the season one you got Felicity with him, and as you get into season two he has Black Canary join him, Roy Harper, and it's really cool to kind of see him slowly build his team. And it's just like that's just kind of gone out the window now because this season doesn't really seem there's been a whole lot of progress, and they're just doing Batman stuff, and it just feels like filler. It's just boring to me. And the thing about Batman 2 is that like it's it sets the wrong expectations. Like if you're gonna have Batman on this show in any way, shape, or form, people are gonna start demanding more Batman because you know what's gonna happen because he's just so popular, and there's gonna be people specifically only watching the show for Batman and Batman appearances. You know that's gonna happen, and it's just the wrong thing to do for the show because what are you gonna get these rating spikes when Batman shows up, and then they're gonna get inevitably gonna get to the episode where there's no Batman, and people are gonna tune out. It's just like when Agents of Shield started. Actually, before they even started, some asshole at ABC, who I'm assuming it's ABC who's responsible for this, and not Marvel. If Marvel had any hand in this too, then they're freaking stupid. But some asshole at ABC thought it was a good idea to promote Agents of Shield with images from the Avengers movie of Hulk and Thor and Iron Man, Captain America, etc. And it gives the wrong impression. It made people think that ABC was doing the Avengers, the TV series. That is not what that show is. It's not even fucking close. You're never gonna see Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, any of those people on that show in a million years. It's never gonna fucking happen. Especially now, and I can do a whole friggin' video series on this about how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is totally irrelevant and Marvel's bullshit attitude towards their TV properties, specifically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Josh Whedon, about how he talked about how the show is completely irrelevant. Even Josh Whedon's saying that. That's when you know the show is shit. Or it doesn't mean shit. Anywho, so it's the wrong expectation. So what happens? The first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does gangbuster ratings. And then from there, tanks. Of course, because when inevitably Iron Man wasn't on the damn show, people tuned out. What did you fucking expect? So now their ratings are so fucking bad that they're talking CW ratings on ABC. I do not know how this fucking show gets renewed. They must be losing tons of money. That and Agent Carter. But they both got renewed. What the fuck? Why? Is it really worth like all his money to promote in kind of like a roundabout way, promote Marvel movies through this hour-long TV show that loses ABC money? It's very weird to me. And speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I can kind of tie this back into the whole Batman Arrow thing. I was watching the season 2 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have seen very little of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do not watch the show. I saw the season 2 premiere out of curiosity, and I thought, hey, this is actually pretty good. Because I've heard mixed things about it. I heard it's kind of hit or miss. It has its highs and lows and goes up and down things. Saw that season 2 premiere, thought it was pretty good. I'm like, hey, this is like Arrow. It actually feels like a real comic book show. They had like an actual Marvel villain. Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, was the villain in the episode. I thought, hey, this is like something Arrow would do. And because this is before Arrow season 3, where now I'd say if anything's like Arrow, then it should be fucking taken out back and shot. But back then it still had a good reputation, right? It had high. It was considered a high standard, So, anyway, I'm watching the season 2 finale of Agents of Shield, and they're doing this Inhumans thing, and there's this evil Inhumans woman, and clearly she's supposed to be fucking Magneto. Clearly. And she has a plot, just like in the first X-Men movie, to turn all the humans into fucking Inhumans. It's like, oh yeah, I don't know where they got that from. Stop doing this shit. If you either Marvel, DC, whatever, if you don't have the fucking live action rights to a character, or there's some bullshit embargo, or whatever the problem is, just don't do it. Don't substitute something else for something else. It just looks fucking cheap. It looks stupid. Just drop it. Forget it. Do something else. And that's what I liked about the first couple seasons of Arrow, because they didn't do. I don't think they've ever done anything Superman on that show. Very little Batman stuff. And I think those first 2 seasons are better for it. And I said this in the very first video. If you have a show that takes place in the DC universe, it's easy just to fall back on Batman and Superman stuff. And those restrictions actually made that show better, because they didn't go and resort to the familiar Batman and Superman characters that's been done to death in animation and live action. They're actually exposing the world to the greater DC universe out there. The history of DC Comics. They're bringing that to live action. A lot of this stuff for the first time. Sometimes, we're getting Vandal Savage on Legends of Tomorrow. It's the first time we're gonna see Vandal Savage, who's a big presence in the overall DC universe. First time we're gonna be seeing him in live action. It's cool to see this stuff, and just resorting to Batman and it's just boring to me.